person and on the screen. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in providing a resounding welcome for Mr. Jim Caviezel.
Thank you very much. I know many of you are probably thinking either my number came up or he's going to save me, or my number is up and Jesus is coming to take me home. I promise you it's neither, so relax. I come tonight to remember and commemorate the sacrifice and the service of some incredible men and women. Even though I have not worn the uniform, there is a personal connection for me. In the year 2000, I was offered the role of Edmond Dantes in The Count of Monte Cristo. It was a new adaptation of the Dumas classic. Little did I realize that that film would connect me to some of the most brave and heroic men that I would ever meet. The Count of Monte Cristo was the first time I had to carry a film on my own, and here I was at the pinnacle of what I long wanted to achieve, but I had no peace. There were lots of challenges on this picture. My character, Edmond Dantes, is unjustly imprisoned. While in a cell, both in the book and in the film, he carves on the wall, "God will give me justice." With all the odds against him, this solitary man is committed to freeing himself and vanquishing evil, even the evil inside of him. Now, some wanted to remove the "God will give me justice" carving from the film and insert some other phrase. I told them if they struck this phrase, they could find themselves another count. The carving stayed in the picture. There is a wonderful scene between Edmond and a fellow prisoner, a priest played by Richard Harris. And at the moment of real despair, in the pit of self-pity, Edmond says, "Priest, I don't believe in God." The priest looks up to him and says, "It doesn't matter, Edmond. He believes in you." And he does. God loves each one of us personally, and he is there with us, even in our moments of dark despair. After shooting Monte Cristo, I inexplicably get a call from Mel Gibson. Now, my agent didn't call, my manager didn't call. I didn't know Mel Gibson, and I wasn't politicking for the role because no one knew it was happening. Mel Gibson wants me to play Jesus Christ. He wants the guy with the initials of JC, who happens to be 33 years of age, to play Jesus Christ. Is this a coincidence? I don't think so. Up there on the cross, I learned that in his suffering was our redemption. The victory was in the sacrifice. Remember, the servant is no better than the master. Each of us must carry our own cross. Both our faith and our freedoms carry a high price. I've been actually scourged, practically crucified, and definitely struck by lightning. I know from whence I speak. That's why I came here today. Now, I told you that there was a personal connection. One does not know how God will use us or our work, even something as seemingly unimportant as a film or a phrase carved into the wall of a set. Marcus Luttrell, one of our distinguished Navy SEALs, the sole survivor of Operation Red Wing, writes in his book and has told me that my film, The Count of Monte Cristo, was a constant source of comfort and inspiration for him. Interestingly enough, it was the carving on the prison wall, "God will give me justice," that has become his motto. Privately, Marcus told me that the night before the fateful Operation Red Wing mission, he and his 3 comrades watched The Passion of the Christ. It was the last film that those men ever saw together. And God, did they fight valiantly, just as many of you have. Years later, I attended a lone survivor event for our veterans in Houston. That night, over several beers, Chris Kyle, another hero, gave me his trident, the special gold insignia of the SEAL, with the eagle clutching an anchor, a trident, and a pistol. We talked for hours about the Passion of the Christ, and the sacrifices we are all called to make in the cause of liberty and freedom. Now, some of you might be wondering what that black Shelby Cobra is doing out there on the deck tonight. That is my own little tribute. Under the motto, In hoc signo vinces, in this sign you will conquer, the engine commemorates the Afghanistan mission, Extortion 17. More Navy SEALs were lost in that 2011 mission than any other. Some of you here tonight served with those men and knew them. I had their names engraved on the engine. Then I had Chris Kyle's trident welded below with the message, beloved fathers, husbands, brothers and sons. It is my personal way of keeping their memory near, a way of honoring the men who have contributed so much to this country, and in a smaller way, to me. So many of the choices I've made on the Person of Interest TV show, playing a former military man, have been informed by the experiences and generosity of these brave men. In a much more important and public way, this organization, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund, has preserved the names and stories of the 58,300 beloved fathers, husbands, brothers and sons, daughters and wives lost in the Vietnam War. Their names are inscribed in the granite in D.C. and via the wall that heals, taken to those who may never visit the nation's capital, but are still in need of healing and a physical touchstone of remembrance. During Vietnam, as a kid, I remember watching the war play out on TV every night because my Uncle Tom was there. We prayed daily that he would make it back, and when he did, he couldn't even get a job. As I think about those we lost in the war in Vietnam, and those who returned home to a cold welcome and a cold shoulder, it is incumbent upon us to never forget the sacrifice of these devoted men and women. Yes, we have to remember the fallen, and efforts like this do, but we also owe a debt to those who survived. We have not made good on that debt. The state of our Veterans Administration hospitals today is deplorable. Our veterans deserve better. Many of you deserve better. And then there are the wounds that we ignore. Mother Teresa once said, "The greatest disease in the West today is not tuberculosis or leprosy. Mother Teresa said, "The greatest disease in the West today is not tuberculosis or leprosy. It is being unwanted, unloved, uncared for. We can cure physical illnesses with medicine, but the only cure for loneliness, despair, and hopelessness is love. There are many in the world who are dying for a piece of bread, but there are many more dying for a little love. Let us find ways to show our love, gratitude, and affection to these courageous men and women. It might be contributing to the fund that helps them find work, or giving to the educational efforts of groups like the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund, or volunteering at the VA, or offering assistance to a veteran or his family. The fight is not only over there, and it doesn't end once the serviceman or woman comes home over here." To those veterans with us tonight, your suffering and your sacrifice may not be fully understood or appreciated by your fellow citizens, but a man from Galilee who died over 2,000 years ago understands. You see, they didn't appreciate his sacrifice and suffering either, but that does not diminish its value. Go to him. He is there for you no matter the circumstance or the hour. As St. Augustine once said, God loves each one of us as if there was only one of us to love. He cares for us individually, for you. At the end, the men and women who have paid the ultimate price did so for love. Love of country, love of freedom, and love of each other. As Jeff Axelson wrote of his fellow Navy SEALs before losing his life in Operation Red Wing, within the willingness to die for family and home, something inside us longs for someone to die beside, someone to lock step with, another man with a heart like our own. It reminds me of the words that Mel Gibson first intoned in his Academy Award-winning film Braveheart when he said to his ragtag army, and it is a message to every one of us, all Americans, military and civilian. I see before me a whole country, I see before me a whole army of my countrymen here in defiance of tyranny. You have come to fight as free men, and free man you are. What will you do without freedom? Will you fight? This man says, no, we'll run and we'll live. Yep, fight and you may die. Run and you'll live for at least a while, and dying in your beds many years from now. Would you be willing to trade all the years from this day to that for one chance? Just one chance to come back here and tell our enemies that you may take our lives, but you can never take our freedoms. Every man dies. Not every man truly lives. Let us continue to commemorate the lives of those brothers and sisters who have fallen and pay tribute and continue to give thanks to those who still walk with us. You men of brave hearts, God bless you. God bless our troops, and God bless America.